Governor Bello Matawale receives donation to check COVID-19. Security operative will not compromise border closure in Zamfara State. Minister of Health denies knowledge of Abakari's whereabouts in Lagos State. On business, World Bank warns China growth to screech to a halt. On the international scene, Nigerian students in UK test positive for coronavirus. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I'm Jemima Samuel. Governor Bello Matawale Maradun of Zamfara State has received some donations on behalf of good citizens of the state to caution the measures against spread of COVID-19. The governor received 31 crates of eggs and 1,000 bags of grains from former governor of the state, Alhaji Ahmed Sani Yerima Bakura. Similarly, the chairman of People's Democratic Party in the state, PDP, Alhaji Ibrahim Malaha, donated 20 bags of grains and sum of 3 million naira. Governor Bello Matawale said doors of his administration is open to all well-meaning citizens who want to support the people in trying times like this. Governor Bello Matawale ordered for the immediate distribution of goods received for the needy and warned against abuse. The governor expressed confidence that the committee will do its work as required and warned against giving the items to workers or anybody who can afford it. He advised the committee members to take the items to doorsteps of the needy only. Governor Bello Matawale then assured that his administration has adequate arrangements to fully come to the aid of the people directly if the pandemic shows no improvement in the next 1 week. The Director General, Zamfara State Ruga Settlement, Hajia Amina Abubakar, has commenced distribution of sanitizer, soap, face masks and hand gloves to Ruga Settlement as part of efforts to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Distributing the items to Fulani in Kuraje, Dayashi, Bulukun, Gidambuke and Jayota Gabas Settlement, the Director General said more communities would also benefit from the gesture. According to her, the Fulani could be more vulnerable to the coronavirus considering their level of lack of awareness. As such, she deemed it necessary to provide them with the materials available. Hajia Amina maintained that the distribution of the items to the Fulani was connected to the giant efforts of the state government, especially the governor and the first lady of the state. Hajia Amina stressed that they initiated the program under the office which is being supervised by the office of the First Lady. As part of the effort to ensure total compliance of the state government's order on border closure, the Enforcement Committee headed by the Commissioner of Police CP Usman Nagogo, PSC, today visited Zamfara-Katsina border at Yankara to assess the level of compliance by members of the public, especially motorists. The Commissioner of Police during the visit expressed satisfaction on the way and manner security operatives were ensuring the order and appealed to members of the public to exercise patience and continue to be law-abiding considering the fact that the order was made to secure the life and property of people of Zamfara State against the pandemic of coronavirus. CP Usman Nagugu, while briefing officers and men of the joint security operatives, reminded them on the need to be discretional and be guided by the rules. He, however, thanked the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, Dr. Mohammed Bello Matawale, for the support and encouragement to all security agencies in the state, a gesture that has been assisting them in discharging of their duties effectively. Similar unscheduled visits will continuously be paid to other borders of the state to ensure things are being done according to plan. The Commissioner of Police was there with other members of the committee, include the Brigade Commander, Guso, Brigadier General O.M. Benlo, Director Security, DSS, Mr. M.T. Wakili, and Commandant NSCDC Aliyu Alhaji Garba, among others. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the release of 70,000 metric tons of grains from the National Strategic Reserve for distribution of vulnerable Nigerians to cushion the effects of the lockdown. Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Mr. Boss Mustapha stated this at the news briefing of the task force in Abuja. According to him, the first batch of the distribution would be released to Lagos and Ogun State as well as FCT. Mr. Mustapha said with time, same will be replicated in other states. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehinare, has refused to disclose the location of the President's Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, who has been infected by COVID-19. Alhaji Kyari had said in statement on Sunday that he had been infected by the disease and that he would be seeking treatment in Lagos State but would not be using taxpayers' funds to treat himself. However, the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State, Professor Akeem Abayomi, had said on Tuesday that he did not know Kyari's location, thereby sparking reports that the President's aide was not in any location center in Lagos State. Responding to a question during the Presidential Task Force briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, the Health Minister said Kyari's location was not important, adding that the President's Chief of Staff had a right to privacy. The minister admitted that some VIPs had refused to be screened at the airport before the outbreak of the virus in Nigeria. He, however, said since the appropriate authorities had been informed, there had been cooperation from the VIPs. The Lagos State government has explained how its 15 cases of the coronavirus were found in a vessel at the port. The Commissioner for Health, Professor Akeem Abayomi, gave the breakdown on how they found a 51-man vessel with 15 carriers of coronavirus. Professor Akeem Abayomi said the ship had a positive case and they airlifted the positive case off the ship and they went back to test the 51 crew officials. The Commissioner said the initial found 7 positive, which they removed to Yaba, and the company had isolated the remaining 44. Of those 44 cases, another 8 tested positive. He explained that after thorough analysis of the situation and persons for a period of time, the medical officials discovered a total of 15 cases from that vessel that was maneuvering off the coast of Lagos, doing some oil and gas work. On the transmission that happened within the state, Professor Obayomi added that none of the remaining 66 cases were experiencing any severe symptoms. The Commissioner said most of the patients are experiencing a very mild to moderate degree of illness, that none of them require ventilation at the moment, which is a symptom of what she would describe as severe disease. Already the state has started the process of aggressive contact tracing of those with the risks of the infection to contain the spread of the disease. Professor Veronica Obatolu, the Executive Director, Institute of Agricultural Research and Training, Ibadan, says COVID-19 remains a threat to food security due to the negative effects on production and research. Professor Obatolu told the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, on Thursday in Ibadan that the pandemic was raging at the time the country was entering the new cropping season. She said the effects of production would be immediate and manifested in reduction in supply with an increase in demand and subsequent increase in cost and reduced accessibility due to limited poor crop production plan and execution. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) Sokoto Zonal Office had secured the conviction of one Mbose John before Mr. Justice M.S. Sifawa, Chief Judge of Sokoto State High Court sitting in Sokoto, on a one-count charge bordering on cheat. In view of defendant's plea, the prosecution counsel S.H. Saad asked the court to convict and sentence the defendant in line with the provision of the law and prayed the court to close website as well as the account used in committing the offense. However, defense counsel Samsu A. Dauda pleaded with the court to temper justice with mercy as his client was a first-time offender who had become remorseful. He also told the court that the verdict had fully restituted the victim. Mr. Justice Sifawa thereafter convicted and sentenced the defender to 10 years imprisonment with an option of fine of 200,000 naira. He further ordered the account and website of the convict to be closed. In a related development, Mr. Justice Sifawa convicted and sentenced one Sanu Amatu to 7 years in prison with an option of fine in the sum of 200,000 naira. Amatu was arraigned on one count charge of criminal breach of trust contrary to Section 300 of the Sokoto State Penal Code law and punishable under Section 301 of the same law. Upon arraignment, Amatu pleaded guilty to the charge. In view of the defendant's plea, the prosecution counsel S.H. Saad asked the court to convict and sentence the defendant in line with the Penal of Code law of Sokoto State. Defense counsel Dauda pleaded with the court to temper justice with mercy as his client was a student and a first-time offender who had become remorseful. He also told the court that defendant had fully restituted the victim in the sum of 45,000 naira. Standard Voice Television News continues after this short commercial break.
Coronavirus or COVID-19, the most recent outbreak that has turned to be a global pandemic. Watch how it easily and quickly spreads among humans.
That you can save your life and save the lives of many others by keeping yourself and your environment clean. As part of your civic responsibilities, you should help the government to maintain a clean environment in its determined effort to prevent any outbreak of coronavirus COVID-19 in the states. For your own safety, you should ensure regular washing of your hands with soap under running water or use sanitizer. Avoid body contact and avoid big gathering of people. In case you notice any symptoms of coronavirus, like difficulties in breathing, high body temperature, running nose, feverish condition, you should immediately contact any member of the contact committee on the outbreak of coronavirus COVID-19 on the following numbers: 081 65 40 86 96, 081 05 00 988, or 080-6303-5385. A stitch in time, they say, saves life.
This message is from Standard Voice Television, Svtv, Seoul, Zamfara State, Nigeria.
Welcome back on Business. Fauzia Ibrahim has more details.
Hello there, welcome to Business Updates. The World Bank has warned that the coronavirus pandemic economic fallout would cause China's growth to come to a standstill while driving 11 more people in East Asia into poverty. The World Bank's chief economist for East Asia and the Pacific, Aditya Amatu, said that the pandemic is causing an unprecedented global shock. Aditya Amatu said that the pandemic is causing an unprecedented global shock, which would bring growth to a halt and would cause increased poverty across the region. He said even in the best case scenario, the region will see a sharp drop in growth, with China's expansion slowing to 2.3% from 6.1% in 2019, according to a report on the pandemic's impact on the region. With the fifth of the world's population under some form of lockdown that caused the shuttering of businesses and a slowdown in transportation to try to contain the virus, the country where the outbreak originated may escape a recession but will nonetheless suffer a sharp slowdown. Just 2 months ago, the World Bank economists forecast China would grow by 5.9% this year, which would have been its worst performance since 1990. Now, the world's second largest economy faces a more dire outlook, replicated in the record construction and manufacturing activities in February and industrial production that fell for the first time in 30 years. The East Asia and Pacific region, including China, would see growth slow to 1.3% in the baseline or contract 2.8% in the more pessimistic scenario as compared to 5.8% last year. And that's all on Business Updates. I'm Fawzia Ibrahim. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Fawzia. And on the international scene, four Nigerian students in the UK have contracted coronavirus while moving from one part of the UK to another to find means of survival. The students are beneficiaries of the 2019 Niger Delta Development Commission Scholarship Program. Sahara reporters had published that the students were abandoned in the UK for 8 months by the NDDC under the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry. Nigerian students on scholarship abroad risked deportation over refusal of Nigerian government to pay tuition fees. A colleague of the affected students who spoke with Sahara reporters said the students are currently being quarantined in one of the NHS centers in their neighborhood. That's all we have on the news today, but before we go, a quick look at the major headlines. Governor Bello Matawalle received donations to check COVID-19. Security operative will not compromise border closure in Zamfara State. Minister of Health denies knowledge of Abakari's whereabouts in Lagos State. On business, World Bank warns China growth could screech to a halt. On international scene, Nigerian students in UK test positive for coronavirus. On behalf of the production crew of Standard Voice Television News, I'm Jemima Samuel. Keep watching Standard Voice Television. Goodbye.